Hello, welcome back to my channel. Here you see I'm using a small circle stencil to airbrush in the pupil a little bit. And you might notice that I've erased a little bit on this, so it looks a little bit jagged. I had gotten ahead of myself and thought I had to record on, didn't, so I had to erase a lot of stuff so I could start this over for y'all. So you'll have to forgive the little erase marks, but I'm coming in here with some really dark sepia, and my airbrush is splattered a little bit, and I don't know if my um, air pressure is not quite set right, but not real worried about it because I need dark in those areas anyway, so I'll just come back in with my eraser and erase them out. But now if this was something I had to really be particular about, and I didn't have these dark colors mixed in with the other colors, then of course I would be freaking out a little bit. But of course I can work with the overspray or any kind of splats, let it dry a little bit and then come back in with your eraser and erase that out. Now this is an aluminum panel I am working on. Of course it's a little bit more forgivable with erasing. Um, if you were working on canvas, it might be a little bit different because you would get just a little bit of, when you erase, the little tiny speck would get caught in the canvas material and you'd still be able to pick that up. And I don't really care how many times you gesso it, it's still not going to be completely smooth. Um, now, UPO paper or synthetic airbrush paper, that is really smooth and it would work best. But I kind of prefer the aluminum panels because you can get it in all kinds, you can cut it down and snap it in all kinds of sizes, where UPO paper or synthetic paper is kind of hard to get sometimes, and Drew Blair synthetic paper is really, really good, but it's very expensive. So I try to, stay in between. I'm cheap. Let's just say it. I look for a great price and a great cost on things, and I try to do as best I can with what we work with, of course, because we might go in between a while before we sell something. So we've got to be kind of scrupulous with our funds, right? This is a little tiny eraser, um, me, or something like that, I believe. And it just kind of gets in there and erases out little tiny areas. Here I'm coming in with just some bright yellow. Don't, doesn't have to really be a particular kind of yellow. You can use orchid yellow if you have it. Or you can use lemon yellow, because we're going to firm that down a little bit with some orange and some burnt sienna in the eye. So doesn't have to be spot on, just however you like it, the shading. And here I'm coming in. This is actually orange, and then I'm going to put some burnt sienna over it to dull it down a little bit in that corner. And you can see that I am not being real careful. I'm just kind of spreading it around because I can erase that out, and I'm not real worried about it. And even in the black area, I'm not worried. By the pupil area, I'm not worried about it because I'll be coming back later on and darkening that up some. You can see I'm spraying in some burnt umber here. Oh, it's still burnt sienna. Sorry, I lied. But burnt umber and burnt sienna. Oh, and spraying around where I can see shading in the animal. I'm not real particular about filling in a lot of fur strokes right now. I'm just basically kind of filling in those colors, getting some background shades in there, and then I'll come back in later on and do the fur the way it should be. Right now it's just mostly the background colors in there that I'm spraying, and I'm not going to be real particular until the final layer. Again, I think this is burnt umber now, and I'm darkening up. Here I'm spraying a little bit of just blue, Holbein blue ink. And then of course we'll want some little bit of gray in that area also. Even spraying the blue in the dark area above the eye even darkens it even more. So you'll find with airbrushing that some of your colors will darken it even more, and it actually will add to the value of your painting. You might notice over on the right hand side where I had erased or tried to erase ink, Holbein ink. If you let it set over night or 24 hours, it's going to cure. So it's not going to be so forgiving to erase as it would if you erased right away. So this is kind of the look you're going to get if you let it set overnight. But that's okay. Where I'm going to come back in and add color over top of that, of course. And then that will soften that, and then I can erase again into it. So no worries. You might notice I added a touch of yellow up above the eye there. That's just to bring out a little bit of highlight because I will be adding burnt sienna over that to give that kind of a reddish color, reddish brown color, and it will be a highlight in the fur there, the animal. I really enjoy doing eyes, and they're, when you get that eye to where it just looks glassy, that's what you want. That's what you want. You want that eye to just look like it's real. Now I'm coming in with the burnt umber and then darkening up in the areas where the eye should be. I'm even spraying a little bit in that pupil because I can see where it's not completely dark. There's some like little specks in there. I'm using my Mars eraser here. In this area right here, it's pretty dark. Even though it looks like it's black, it isn't. It's burnt umber. I'm beginning to spray up a little bit, get some fur movements there. No, there's still going to be another coat going over top of that. You always want to if you notice, I'm kind of shaking my airbrush a little bit because I want some jagged lines and that little bit of gray area that I sprayed in just below the eye there. That allows for me to come back over and spray another color over top of that, which will give that shade area underneath the eye. And I'm using my X-Acto knife just to draw some little specks in the eye, little like highlights in the eye to make it pop out and look a little bit more real. And I'm coming in with burnt sienna, filling in over the eye and getting that highlight in there. Just kind of being free flowing with it because fur is free flowing. I tend to paint spaniels quite a bit. I guess because my dog's a spaniel, and I love the animal. But I do all kinds of pet portraits and people portraits and all kinds of different kinds of art. Not too much on landscapes, but I do love tackling water because it's where I need help. I really think I'm just too hard on myself. I think most of us artists are. Mars eraser there, pouring out a few little highlights that I will airbrush back over it again, and then um, that will make it stand out more. Notice I um, just blew out a lot of paint there, and I used my airbrush to dry that paint up very quickly because if I wouldn't have it, it would have dripped. So I'm coming in and just kind of filling back over it again. So to give it a deeper look. And the scratches or the eraser marks over here on this ear is because there's a lot of lighter shade on top of the ear. The fur that's flying out is kind of an orangish color from the sun hitting it, or the sunset hitting it. So those eraser marks that I erased out there, even though they look kind of scratchy right now, when I put the burnt sienna over it, it will make it appear like the sun is hitting it because of the orangish color. Beginning to fill in a little bit of the shading over top of the right side of the dog here. Again, I'm not being real picky right now because later on is when I'm going to come in and add on the tedious fur marks, but right now I'm just kind of doing this quickly to fill in color, put some color on the canvas here or on the panel here. And if you're looking at the dog photo, which is on, if you go to the link site on where it says post on my page, you'll see a picture of the dog. And again, it's not exactly the same, but um, I don't really, I want it to be realistic, but I don't really try to do things exactly like the photo because I just don't think that's what we should do unless we were trying to do absolutely photorealistic. I like realism. I strive for realism, but I also want to be creative too. I don't want to totally copy something. Ooh, looks like my Barney boy. Except my dog has a little bit of a poof on top of his head. Um, I don't want to say like a poodle does, but it's shorter than like a poodle's. But he has like a little knot on the top of his head, like a little, I don't know what you call it, bump. So I try to hide it by just leaving a little bit of poof up there. And over the years, it just kind of took on his personality. Now I'm coming in with a smaller eraser and I'm going to add some shadow in here on this white part. So I'll be spraying a little bit of gray, bluish gray color in there as you see right now. And as always, to have white, we have to have some darker color behind it so that when we erase out, it stands out. And here I'm spraying in some of those little freckles that are on him. I hope you all are having a very good day and that you are practicing, practicing, practicing. Because if you want to get good with the airbrush, that's what you have to do. You have to practice, practice, practice. I still make mistakes all the time, and I still have to tell myself to quit pushing and releasing off the trigger. Um, you want to keep your air on constantly. You don't want to stop and start, stop and start. You want to keep your airflow on continually, and you want to move your finger forward to stop it and back to bring the air. If you're always constantly stopping and starting again, you're causing tip dry. And tip dry is something we don't want because that's where we get our splatters out. And most everything's fixable, but we really want to strive not to have to fix something. Here you see I'm just kind of working, pulling out some hair. This is a Euro tool, and you can find them on Amazon. It's a red one, and it has little fibers at the end. It works wonderful on panels, aluminum panels. It works wonderful on canvas. Um, I don't really like to use it so much on synthetic paper because it can cut into the paper, but if you're very careful with it, you'll do just fine. Depends on how much pressure you use. Thank you for watching, guys, and come back for the next part. Subscribe and share, please.